Alright guys, I just acquired this little guy the other day. This is a 93 S10. Sorry, trying to not make this look like the Blair Witch Project. And when I bought this, I was told that the pedal transmission was bad. Now, this is a early 4L60, slightly a bit of an E. You see the electrical stuff attached to it. It's got an electrical speed cable right there hanging down that I've disconnected. It's got two little prongs right there. You pull that out. Now to get this guy out, you just squeeze it and it'll pop right out, but I'll show you that. I've taken the pan loose. I drained all the oil out of it already. I've got two bolts in it. I've got all the bolts loose pretty much, so this thing is held in by the cross member. So the cross member on these guys, there's two bolts right here, and then there's two bolts on that side right there, those two holes. And that's pretty much the same on all these S10s from 82 to 93, 94-ish. They're all the same. Luckily, guys saved me a lot of work. When I got this guy, the bolts that go in the housing right up there, I don't know how well you guys can see that, they were simply not there. The one that was there was hand tight. So, you know, I've done this a few times on S10s. You know, if you look right back out there, you see the other one hanging out. She got an LS in her though. But anyway, I got the starter loose right there. It's kind of hanging down. I've got the cooler lines right here loose. They're really kind of a struggle to get to. Once you get them broke loose, they come free pretty easy. You see this exhaust right there? I'm gonna try to finagle this once I get that cross member down here in just a minute. I'm gonna put the jack. I built this little jack for the other one to hold that 400. I got a turbo 400 in the other S10. But this little guy's just got a nice little Vortec 350, you know, no big deal, 200 horse maybe. In some other videos, when you LS swap these or V8 swap these, I'll go over some things you definitely want to do and don't do. For example, you know, moving out from this transmission project for a minute, let me walk over here. Let me show you what I did here. Now, if you see right there, that is a square tubing. All right, I'm sorry, that's angle iron. You see my nice little LS conversion here. That is welded in all over the place, and I used the Dirty Dingo engine mounts. Now I've got new shocks, I've got a new front end up underneath this thing. I spent some time up underneath here, but let's come over here. Some things you definitely want to pay attention to. Now you see the difference. Now I pulled this thing, but look, guys, this isn't going to be cool down the road. That's not going to work. Okay. Same thing on the other side. That's welded on the bottom. It's not even welded on the top. Now these little Vortecs, you know, don't get mad at me, but I mean they make like 200 horse maybe to the rear tire. So am I too worried about it? No, I'm not too worried about it. But notice, you see the factory motor mount there. If you convert one of these with an LS swap, it is definitely okay to not notch that. You have to use a Hummer, the H3 pan, or you definitely want to go get a CTSV pan. That's a CTSV pan. Now, thing on oil pans, you know, once you start going 10-second rides, you get a turbo, you're going to want to watch that oil pressure on the launch because they're not that great, but you could definitely go with an aftermarket sump or, you know, something like that to help, you know, be able to get that oil pressure up on a hard hit like that once the car gets moving. But this thing's going to kind of be a work in progress. I'm not real sure why this front end is cut right here. I think this thing's been wrecked before, because you can tell that that's just not right. That shouldn't be that way. So, although it's straight, amazingly, this side does look a little bent up, but this whole front end, guys, the tie rods, ball joints, they're shot. So you definitely want to pay attention to this kind of stuff when you do this. You know, a lot of guys, it's work. on that other one, I cut it right there. I was told that I had to. It's not the case. Plus, somebody had already swapped it over, and I put a nice little LS in her. But had a lot of fun with that thing. It's definitely a lot of fun. But we'll talk more about the conversion. I put a turbo 400. Hi, Georgia. Georgia says hi, guys. Put a turbo 400 in that guy, and talk about that. You know, I was told that thing was supposed to hold some power. The transmission's come out twice. We'll talk about why. It's got a full manual valve body in it now. Not an ideal for driving on the street. You know, it's kind of like driving a standard. You get to shift it all the time. But anyway, this guy's got a little 4L60. It's in between a 4L60 and a 700R from my research. But anyway, I'm going to yank this transmission out. I can't film this and do this. I just kind of wanted to go over a few things with you guys when you LS swap them. I mean, you got to have two mount. You need at least 2 bolts in that motor mount. You know, these guys don't put on a lot of torque. You're not going to get a whole lot of movement in those motor mounts without a lot of torque. I looked, I think it's 250 foot-pounds of torque, you know. That one definitely has more torque than that, but, you know, LS is, you know, that's why everybody wants to LS swap them. You can make them fast. And that's got a Terminator kit in it. We'll talk about that later, too. I'll go over some of that. I did the tuning. Took a little timing, put a little timing in, took a little timing out, splashed a little fuel around here and there in the tune. But this guy's factory ECM, I'll bring it back up here. You can see it. Sits right there. And that controls the transmission. And it controls the throttle body underneath there. I don't know if you guys can see it. I am not changing this motor. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to run it. I'm going to change the spark plugs. None of them were even tight when I got it anyway. So, you know, it's got a heater and air conditioner. I'm excited about that. But I've got some work to do. But I cleaned it up. You can kind of tell that's what the whole thing looked like. Now you can kind of tell it's white. I'm like, wow, it's not bad looking. But anyway, I got some work to do here. But I know a lot of guys have questions on these transmissions. Getting them out, what do you do? What do you go with? A lot of people want to use overdrive, non-overdrive, walk-ups. How do you do your exhaust out the back? What do you do with the exhaust? This has cats. Obviously, you can tell it's got 2 mufflers back there. It's got the factory 10-bolt 7.5 rear end. I'll probably put some new shocks back there. Probably get some new shocks up front. I'm probably going to go with a different converter. And guys, make sure you drain the oil when you do one of these transmissions, because if not, it'll come right out the back of the tail housing right there. And that's a mess. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free, drop a comment down there below. I'll answer it the best I can. So this is my 4th transmission to take out of a V8 swapped S10. So there you go, guys.